All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to coverage of the Mind Sports Olympiad Speed Scrabble event. My name is Will Anderson,
All right.
and
Hello,
I am
everybody.
here. Oh, yes.
Welcome
I'm
to
hearing that echo.
of the Mind Sports Olympiad Speed Scrabble event.
That's okay. We'll get
my
that
name
audio.
Is Will Anderson, hello, everybody.
Oh, yes. Is that me? Let's see.
Scrabble
We'll work
event.
on that. We'll get that
my
audio.
name is
What's going on?
I think that's you. Yeah.
Is that me? Let's see. We'll work on that.
So wherever you have streams going, just mute those, and we'll continue on. So
Sorry about that.
no worries. Yes, we're working out the kinks. I think right now it's basically almost start time. So I know the players and organizers of the event are also getting things squared away. But anyway, just to continue our introduction, my name is Will Anderson, and I'm here with my co-commentator, Sumbul Siddiqui.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. I am back on track. Hello.
I think I heard a brief echo for another second, so we'll see what's happening with that. I think it's fine now. I don't hear it yet.
Perfect. I think
So anyway, yes, we are here covering the first of two events for Mind Sports Olympiad. This one is going to be a speed Scrabble event. So obviously, what does that mean? Speed Scrabble, it means the games are a little bit faster than usual. So I have up the event rules here, and Sumbul and I will talk about those for a little bit. It's 5 minutes per player. How is that different from what you're accustomed to with Scrabble, Sumbul, that only 5 minutes per side here?
I think for me this is very challenging because of course you need that thinking time, don't you? 5 minutes is for people who can think on their feet, and that's definitely not me. So all the best to whoever's playing today.
I think that's everybody. I mean, I certainly agree that in 5 minute games of Scrabble, sometimes my brain falls out of my head as well. So I think that's not something that's unique to you. I think Scrabble is not really intended to be played in just 5 minutes per side. So that's going to lead to some excitement and some action. And maybe some mistakes from some really, really good players in this event. Some of the best players in the world that you might not see them make in our normal time controls of 25 minutes per side in a live game, or even maybe 15 minutes is often used in online competition. So 5 minutes per player. There will be 1 minute of overtime once those 5 minutes elapse, and players that go overtime will lose 10 points off of their score. If you use up that minute of overtime, you will instantly forfeit the game. So very high stakes to using your time in an efficient manner. And we are also going to be using the Void Challenge rule on our Scrabble platform today. And that means that players will literally be forbidden by the platform to play any invalid words. So how does that change things, Sumbul, from the norm, from what we're used to?
Yes, I think that's a big change, isn't it? If you're playing in a free division, only then you usually get Void Challenge in some tournaments, and you're not used to it. So sometimes you go like, you calculate it. It's natural that you're calculating on the basis that he might challenge that. You might get 5 points. You might not challenge it. You might not get them. So that would be nice to see how people see that today.
Yeah, it's definitely it helps for experimentation. If you're not sure of a word, you can put it on the board and hit enter, and maybe you'll get that, magic moment where a word you weren't sure of ends up being a huge bingo for you or something like that. So that's that's a cool wrinkle, a little bit different from those that are used to bluffing and playing phonies on the board and stuff like that. And obviously, we are playing with the Collins CSW International Lexicon. We'll be playing 10 rounds of Speed Scrabble before a potential playoff between 2 and 4 players. If they are tied with the same number of wins, we may do a playoff to determine the overall winner of the event. So far we're still waiting. We're basically looking in the chat on the all different platforms. If you're watching, I think I'm going to try to keep on top of the Facebook chat, Sumbul on YouTube, and obviously we're also monitoring chat on the actual Scrabble platform. So when we get an understanding of the first round pairings, we will definitely communicate that. So in the time, for the time being, I'll just pop over to the game coverage screen that we have prepared. You'll see that I have a little carousel in the lower left. If you're newer to Scrabble and you're hearing terms and lingo that you're not familiar with, hopefully that helps to see some of those defined on the screen. For example, right now I'm looking and you can see a bunch of terms such as fish, bingo, leave. These are all terms that are very familiar to us as longtime Scrabble players, but we totally hope that there are many, many players from other games at the Mind Sports Olympiad that pop in to see how Scrabble works at the elite level, and hopefully you find that useful to see those terms on screen. You're going to be hearing them a lot from me and from Sumbul as we talk about the games that we're seeing here. I think I'm going to try to get the standings page up. I know that Chris Harrison, our event organizer, and Wayne Kelly, our event director, have been working extremely hard to get everything up and running. I think there's upwards of 70 players in this event, which is really, really cool. I haven't looked too carefully at the entrance list, but there are some really, really strong players here. I saw former world number one player Conrad Bassett Bouchard is on the list. Former world champion Craig Beavers is on the list. Many former United States champion Austin Shin is on the list. So there are a lot of really good players. Ben Schoenbrunn, Dave Koenig, Wasim Khatri, one of Pakistan's strongest players, and a winner of another very, very prestigious online event that took place recently. So no shortage of excellent players. Sumbul, have you gotten a chance to... I haven't really, so don't worry if not, but have you gotten a chance to look at the entrance list? What's your thought about all those players that I just mentioned? Pretty strong.
Pretty strong. I was about to say that do you think that luck will play a big part in this speed Scrabble today? Because I looked at the list very briefly as well, and I was like, wow, this is going to be one heck of a challenge for people playing today.
Well, it's tough to know because sometimes I feel as if maybe there's less luck in speed Scrabble because the players that can come closest to playing at their normal skill level that they would play at in a 25-minute or 15-minute event, they have a huge advantage, and they're going to need a little bit less luck to win games against players who really suffer with the quicker time control. Yeah. So sometimes I think that, of course, in Scrabble, luck plays a factor. We know that. Some of the best players in the world, the best player in the world, Nigel Richards, does not win every single tournament he plays, even though he probably plays the best of any player in all of the tournaments that he plays, because there is a luck component to the game. That's good or bad depending on where you stand in the rankings and in your skill level. But I think maybe I would be inclined to say in a speed event like this, there's a little less luck than usual. So it's possible those really strong players will rise to the top by the end. Still monitoring the tournament chat here, just waiting for those first round pairings to go up. The game that you see on your screen, that's just a game that I was testing the interface. This is not an active game. I actually don't know how to clear that off, so don't worry about the words you're seeing on the screen right now. We will definitely be trying to get you a really good first round matchup as soon as it's available.
Oh yes, looking forward to that.
Let me see. I feel maybe Sumbul, you're still a little soft on the audio. Let me just pump you up a little bit. So obviously, if anybody's watching along on Facebook, I'll do my best. I don't see any comments yet. If folks are watching along on the Mind Sports Olympiad channel on Facebook, feel free to ask questions or just let me know if anything is awry with the broadcast. Hopefully everything is looking good and the audio levels are good, but we want to make sure that everything sounds and looks good for you guys once we get underway.
Yeah.
And obviously we will love if people have questions about anything that's been played on the board or how we think about things in Scrabble. We would love to answer questions from curious visitors from other games. I think the Mind Sports Olympiad consists of maybe 30 or 40 games overall. What is Sumbul? Do you have any experience with Mind Sports Olympiad? And
I think it was 35 last time I was speaking to them, but I can double check and get back to you in a minute.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I was just wondering, but I know it's a really cool format where there's just events going in basically every type of skill game and mind sport that you could imagine.
Yeah.
And I'm always very impressed. Lately, I've never seriously played or studied chess, but I've taken an interest in chess just because chess right now is sort of having a boom in terms of online interest and streaming and coverage. And even though I don't know much about chess, I find it a lot of fun to watch different chess broadcasts. And I know that there have been some already in the Mind Sports Olympiad calendar for this year. And that's very cool. So hopefully, just as I have enjoyed watching a lot of chess lately, hopefully some players from other games will pop in and enjoy watching our Scrabble coverage. As we are still, I'm getting word that from our event organizer that pairings are incoming for the first round. I think part of that is simply that it's just a lot of people are here playing in this event, organizing upwards of 70 people altogether. Is not easy to do, and it looks like the pairings are up. Let's see if I can see. Yes, they are. Okay, so let me see what happens if I cut to the standing screen. I'm just going to preview it before I do. Yes, all right, let me look over at this. So you can see this is just a snippet of our overall, obviously the screen says standings, but games have not been played yet. So this is just a, not the standings, but a pairings listing for Group 1. Round 1, I should say. And sometimes on streams that I've done, I have a poll functionality. I don't have that up right now, but I'm looking at the alphabetical pairings. I will send that link along to you, Sumbul, as well, so you can look at that and see that we actually have a pretty amazing round 1 matchup between Conrad, Bassett, Bouchard, and Craig Beavers, two players that I had mentioned earlier. So one of whom is a former world champion, and the other is a former number 1 ranked player in the world rankings. So that seems like a pretty good matchup to start, but we'll definitely, if you are seeing the list, I'm just going to post in the Facebook chat. If anybody wants to, hopefully this works for everybody. I've posted a link to the initial pairings, and if people have requests for which games they'd like to see us cover, definitely let that be known. I'm watching the Facebook chat. For those that are watching on Twitch, that's the normal platform that I stream to, but we're going to be focusing a little bit on Facebook today. That is the Mind Sports Olympiad preferred platform. So let me see here.
Will, just a quick shout out from me. I think someone on Twitch highlighted that I need a mic, and can you just turn up my audio, and I'm probably going to try my earphones, and let's see how that works, yeah? Okay,
yes, I have it pumped up a fair bit now, but we'll keep it up a little further. Let's just see if we can continue to pump it up so that, yeah, I think you're less audible than you were when we did our test. So Oops, sorry, that's the speed Scrabble thing here. There we go. That should be the event standings, which again, there we'll pop over to this. Players are being encouraged to start their games, and sure enough, oh wow, already very, very far, not very far, but a reasonable distance into the game would be our round one matchup. So let's have a look. I'm going to be watching Evil Budgie, that's Craig Beavers, versus Conrad, Bassett, Bouchard. And of course, it looks like Craig Beavers has bingoed right off the bat with 2 straight bingos to start the game. And obviously you see on the screen there, bingo defined as a word that uses all 7 of your letters. That's absolutely critical in Scrabble because it gives you 50 extra bonus points. So you can see the score 146 to 58 in favor of Craig right off the bat, which I think I'll probably pop off of the channel so that the plays in the game show up. You see on the interface the last play that's been committed. That doesn't show right now, but as soon as, also my own name is listed there. Let me try to get that looking right again. There we go. Okay, so the plays are coming very, very quickly. It's going to be a challenge for us to catch up. Also, the players are going to be starting their next games as soon as their opponents are ready. So it's going to be a thrill ride here from start to finish as we do our best to get you some really good games. You see the times on the left, Craig with about 3 minutes and 15 seconds, and Conrad still with 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So maybe a little bit of a time advantage for Conrad. So Sumbul, what is your thought here? It's an 100-point deficit now for Conrad, but I think maybe he still has a chance to come back if he can play really fast and pressure Craig into some time trouble. What's your thought on that?
I think playing faster is definitely the best way of being on the advantage side.
Can you try putting the headset down? Try putting the microphone. No. So like, where is?
Does this work better?
Yes,
Any better?
exactly.
Sorry,
that's
it was
what I meant,
stuck upstairs.
the microphone down. Yes, there you go. Perfect.
That's okay.
I think that's a lot better.
Great. Can
excellent.
people? I hope. Perfect. I think people should be able to hear me now. If not, please tell me.
Yeah, no, you're actually way better, and I can actually lower the volume. I had you pumped up to an incredibly huge amount so that you could be heard. So I'm going to move it down to just a medium amount.
Yay.
Okay, so amazingly, Conrad had been down by a very large score, but he's just bingoed for the first bingo for Conrad. Craig does have the second blank. The first one was played. You can see right here this U with the score of 0 points. That was the first blank of the game. And you can see that Craig has the second one on his rack up in the upper corner. Yeah. And he's definitely looking for bingos. I'm not sure that he has any available to him. And another tricky thing is it doesn't look like he has a great play to the S of Alienese, so he'll probably have to play something through the A instead with all of his high point tiles. Something like half maybe is likely to come down, and that gives Conrad a chance to hit that S of Alienese for a really big score. So he plays Filch. That looks like a great way to use up all of his high point tiles. But Conrad should be able to play something with his Z that connects to the S of Alienese. And that's going to keep him in the game if he's able to get a nice draw after that. Zurus, beautiful. That's a beautiful play. But I suspect that Craig is going to bingo here. It's possible that he will see Ipo Moya. That is a play that I would expect him to see. And you can see that it goes down right here, making... making 2 overlaps. So that's a tough break for Conrad, but he still is going to be able to play something parallel to Ipomoya, right? Do you see, Sumbul,
Yes,
do you see anything interesting there?
I think using the triple would be very nice here, especially for Conrad. He does have the T.
That's right, the T.
And
he'll be looking to hit that T with Hayet, H-A-E-T, obscure word, but Conrad for sure knows it. So let's see if he comes up with something good. Maybe just Y-E-T, yet. The only problem with playing something like that in this spot, Y-E-T, it's a great scoring play, but you can see Conrad's down by 100. He really needs these spots, these lines to stay open, especially the one going down from L-A. So Conrad plays bait for 61, and Craig responds immediately with couriers while I was drawing on the board. So it does look like Craig is staying in command despite Conrad's best efforts.
Yes. Natalie on Facebook says, Craig is scary playing at speed. Can we put bets on?
Yes, that is absolutely true. Craig is a fast player. Now, I will also say that Conrad, also very adept and a very, very fast player from my experience as well. So two players that, again, two of the stronger players that are going to be competing today, and both have extensive experience playing with very quick time controls. But I think Craig has the upper hand here. He's up by not quite 90 points. And just looking at the board, when you're up by 90 points, the thing you need to worry about is your opponent playing a bingo. And there's very, very few opportunities for that to happen on this board. Pretty much the only way you could play all 7 of your letters is something ending in the N of NEP. There's really nowhere else. I guess I should also point out that various actually takes an O hook for ovarious, but the odds of playing a 7-letter word ending in O or going through the U of Juku in that spot are very low. So things not looking good for Conrad here in our first game.
Even though he's low on time, I still think he does have the upper hand here.
So we actually see that ovarious hook be played. This is a very clever play by Conrad because he knows at the deficit he's facing, he needs to get a bingo for those extra points, and he opens up a lane that allows him to do that, and he actually just drew a bingo that I expect him to play. I think he's probably going to play a legged here, which is an archaic... instead he... Okay, perhaps he's assessed... that he can't really win after that play because it doesn't score enough. So maybe he decided to pass up that bingo and go for a triple-triple, which is our word for a play also known as a 9-timer that spans 2 triple word scores, but it's quickly blocked by Craig.
Can it be a miss? Someone on Twitch is asking.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, can it be a miss?
It's certainly, that could have been missed there. It's one of those archaic words. Conrad, a player from the United States, only relatively recently in his Scrabble career has he converted to the International Dictionary from the slightly smaller United States Dictionary. And that word that we said that he was going to play, as we see Craig quickly wrapping up this first game with a win. But that's a word that is only in the International Dictionary, and it might not have been as familiar to him. But that could have been a miss. It could have been just a quick decision that even the extra points of a bingo there were not going to be enough to pull away from Craig. Yeah. So, tough to know for sure. But it does look like Craig Beavers is going to come out on top in the first round. That's a tough pairing for these two guys with 74 or something like that players in the field. That's tough that you're going up against one of the other elite players. I'm sure that they'll get some easier pairings going forward.
Easier pairings, yeah.
So let's see what happens if we cut back to the standing screen. Maybe there's another game that we can pick up the tail end. So you can see that this matchup between number 7, Conrad, Bassett, Bouchard. The numbers are just seedings that are randomly assigned. So I'm looking down the list. Let's see if we can find some other players that we recognize. We could pop into the game between Philip Aston and Robert Richland. That could be a good one.
Let's go for it.
Let me just try to get...
If they're still playing.
Are they still playing? That would be nice. I guess maybe they're not. It looks like they finished up their game. So let's just see if the next round's pairings have been added. I think they are likely to have been added, and here they are. So just looking over the list, we've got tons and tons of players all the way down the list. It's very it's going to be tricky early on. Maybe Colin Northmore and Orla Judge. That could be a good one between two players that I think I recognize. Just looking over the list. How about Rick Kennedy versus Robert Richland? That should be pretty good.
That could be a good one.
Those are two players, experienced players from the UK. So let's have a look at that game. I'm not sure if the players are going to be starting immediately, but it would be great to pick up on... Okay, so I've got a bunch of these players ready as soon as our next game continues. Cornelia Guest versus Wasim Khatri. That's also another good game if that gets started. I'll put Wasim on my list of players to watch. So Wasim Khatri, just a very, very strong player from Pakistan.
Very strong.
Which, Sumbul, do you have any thoughts on the ascent of Pakistan as a world power in Scrabble, which it's quite amazing, wouldn't you say?
I think, yes. I think the best part is that all of them are very young as well, so they do have the time to develop themselves if they're making mistakes. And over the period of time, you have seen players like Suaib and Imad, such a young player who's just super talented. You see him play and you go like, wow, like, how is this kid doing this? So I would say very good talent down there. And yeah, I think they're a very strong team.
Yeah, I'm certainly incredibly impressed by the growth of the Scrabble scene in Pakistan. I'm just going to pump your volume up a little. We'll find the right. It sounds much better, so that's good.
Thank you.
So I actually have our coverage screen ready with the players in this game. So we can... I know that many viewers are probably saying, well, what are the different IDs? Who are these players? We're going to have screens available also that show not just the players' names on the platform. You see Whittier, that's Cornelia Guest. Rockstar 11, that's Wasim. So this game just getting underway with an exchange for Cornelia and a quick play of Toy by Wasim, and then Cornelia with a very lovely underlap of Toy with Axe. But I would expect Wasim to spot his bingo of Ailette, and there it goes down very quickly. Great play. That's what makes Wasim so strong. He's got great word knowledge. However,
definitely,
Ailette has created a huge spot for the Z, and Cornelia immediately capitalizes on it by playing Riz.
Back in the game.
So the plays, again, coming in as fast as we can mention them. I think Ritz left 2 T's. Is that possible? No, clearly not, because Cornelia only has 1 T right now. So down goes Sir, hooking the S onto Axes.
Very interesting move.
That's definitely a move that's going to open up the board. And Wasim quickly puts the V hook onto Vaxes, which is a recently added word. Cornelia has a bingo here. She can play Heartens through the A of Mega, or Hastener if she wants to be crazy. If she plays Hastener, that creates an enormous spot for an S on the bottom of the board to score a huge amount of points, hitting the triple word score there. So I think I would much prefer Heartens in this position. What do you think, Sumbul?
Yes, definitely Heartens. You're playing against someone like,
it looks like Cornelia just her internet, her ISC just popped off. So as soon as she pops back on, we'll hook back up with the game. She did just lose her connection, but when a player loses their internet connection briefly, I don't believe it results in their time going down. Yeah. So hopefully she can get back online.
I think it's 30 seconds or a minute, isn't it? Yeah, there you go.
So we're back. You see her timer in the top left of your screen ticking now. That indicates that she's back online and ready to go. So it looks like a miss of Hartons, but she does play he for 23, leaving a really good set of tiles behind. So if you're going to miss a bingo, that's an okay way to do it. Wasim responding with Wud for 28. In Scrabble, we often talk about letters having synergy or poor synergy together. And Sumbul, what is your thought on WU? What type of synergy does that have?
I think WU is probably the only 2 letters that have made me cry, so I think that sums it up.
Yes, the drawing WU at the wrong time of the game is every Scrabble player's nightmare. As we see Kogi go down, great overlapping play by Wasim. He's taken about an 80-point lead in this game early. But basically, when we say that tiles have poor synergy, it just means that there are not a lot of words that contain those letters together. There are very few 7- and 8-letter words that have both a W and a U together. So when you draw those letters, you just have fewer options available to you.
Yeah.
And another really bad combination of letters is UV, which is on Wasim's rack right now. So he's definitely going to look to play them. And sure enough, he immediately plays Gov, which gets both the U and the V off of his rack. So Burr is played very fast. It's the summertime, but maybe you can still play Burr if you need to get a couple of consonants off of your rack without using up your vowels. Okay, so Wasim with a solid lead, but Cornelia has drawn the first of the 2 blanks. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the tiles remaining, and you see the question marks on the far right. That is the very valuable blank tile. So the first of those you see right now is on Cornelia's rack. So when it cuts back to Wasim's turn, that's why you see both of those question marks on the bottom, because from his point of view, both of those blanks are still available. Oh, wow, look at this. Cornelia has fished an I in this spot, but yet Wasim has a beautiful play. Wow, Sumbul, what were your thoughts on that play?
Wow, that was. I think that's the point of playing good players, that they know what they want to do, and if they get that opportunity, it's done and dusted.
Yeah, so that was just instantaneous. We see Cornelia struggling to find a bingo with her first blank, and in response, she's played an I there. Wasim catching her with the absolute worst possible tile for that spot of the Q. He plays Chin and Yakona for 70 points. That is an unbelievably good play. Cornelia just bingos, but Wasim is going to respond. Amazing. He plays bonuses as a bonus. If only every time you played that word, it gave you 50 extra points, but in this case, it does, because Wasim used up all 7 of his tiles. Great play. So that's definitely... That looks like a winning move for Wasim here. He's up by a ton of points. And very impressive plays by him. He's played a lot of excellent scoring plays. He's found his bingos very quickly. So you see why Rockstar 11, Wasim Khatri, one of the players to beat here, I would say. If we just go to this,
definitely.
You can see I have the actual player names as well for those that are curious. It's going to be a struggle to update all of the screens and stuff that I have for the coverage, because the plays are coming so fast from these players, but we will do our best. So this game about to wrap up as a win for Wasim.
Wasim, yeah. I think Wasim is a very quick player as well. He can spot words really quickly. So I think it's going to be good to see how these people go against each other.
Yeah, no question. Wasim, I've played a couple of times now, I believe. I know I played him when I traveled overseas to Malaysia one time, and he was playing very efficiently and quickly in the game that we played at that event as well. So no surprise to see Wasim playing with great pace in this very quick event. And you see the last few plays of the game. After Wasim's play of bonuses, we basically knew he had this game wrapped up. Very self-descriptive play. And it looks like the final score, he wins by not quite 200 points over Cornelia Guest, who is a very, very prominent player in the U.S. scene as an organizer, and a lot of charity tournaments that she runs, and is incredibly pivotal in the school Scrabble scene in North America. So Cornelia Guest, really, really important Scrabble player to the North American scene. But Wasim is just truly one of the best players in the world. So no surprise to see him come out on top in this matchup. So let me just see if we cut to our standing screen, if I can figure out. So I think it's possible that the round 3 pairings will take a moment to come in. So let me just...
They're not there yet, so should be there in a while.
Yeah, that's okay. So why don't we just cut back to the standing screen and see if we can identify any other games in progress that we might want to see. We can just pop over. How about I just see that Philip and Gary Birch are playing. If we just pop into that game, I'll observe Glucoside. And this game, if we pop over, it looks like Gary Fast Awake is a little ways ahead of Philip, who has only 290 points. So that's going to imminently be a win for Gary Birch. So basically, we're just wrapping up round 2. And very soon, we're going to figure out the pairings for round 3. Interesting words on this board. I see Barrios. That was a nice bingo played. Just to circle that, where you see that on the screen. Barrios, that was a lovely bingo there. Looks like... I think the game has wrapped up. Yes. Yeah, so I'm guessing that most of these games in round 2 are wrapping up imminently, and we're going to get our pairings for round 3. Again, just to cut back to the rules of the event. Once again, you'll see that we have only 5 minutes per player per game, so the games are going to be coming very quickly. We have 10 rounds of play. We've just completed our second round, but it feels like it's going very quickly and efficiently, so it's going to be a thrill ride here, start to finish. I think there may be a break at some point.
There is a break after game number 5, I think.
Okay, so at the halfway point, there will be a break. Let me just pop back into the channel where the event's being sort of communicated by the director and organizer. So, let's just be on guard for those standings.
Yes. I am refreshing them. Well, what do you think of COVID-19, the pandemic affecting Scrabble?
Great
question. That's a big question, isn't it?
We can each give our thoughts on that. I'll start, of course. So obviously this event is typically an in-person event that takes place, I think, in London each year, the Mind Sports Olympiad.
Yes, it does.
And obviously things are very different this year from usual. So this is online coverage that normally might look a little bit different if the event was taking place in person. It would probably be, played with physical boards and players sitting over the board. But this is, our best effort to provide a really fun sort of live style experience for Mind Sports Olympiad Scrabble event. With what we're working with. And, a lot of the players in this event, I know there are probably a few players that are newer to Scrabble and haven't competed in a tournament like this before. But we have a lot of players who are extremely experienced, successful tournament players in this event. And everybody's mingling together, the veterans and the newer players. And I think it's great. I think it's just something that really serves to continue to keep our community connected during this time when everything has conspired to keep us apart. So I'm very glad that we're running the event in this way as best we can. And, definitely looking forward to sitting over the board and playing opponents again. But this will really help ease the pain that we're all missing our Scrabble friends in the meantime.
That's true.
Do you have any other thoughts on just Scrabble in the age of COVID, Sumbul?
Yeah, I think virtual Scrabble does have its pros and cons. So of course we are not sitting on a board, we cannot rattle the tiles and everything. It's that kind of intimate feeling you have when you're playing Scrabble. However, a lot of new players have started playing Scrabble online. I know a lot of my friends have started doing that. They hate it like Scrabble on board, but playing online is just like on their phone all the time, and playing it is it's good for us in the way that Scrabble is becoming big. I know a lot of people who are having like home tournaments between their family members and stuff. So I think it's a good start. It does have its pros and cons, but at least COVID has shown us a different face of Scrabble, and the Scrabble community as well, like sticking together, making sure that we are connected. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all of that 100%. So yeah, we're doing what we can, and hopefully we can continue to sort of push forward the quality of our online coverage of different Scrabble events, so that maybe even after COVID has come and gone, that it can still be a component of how people enjoy Scrabble, even from, it's just a lot easier playing, and Scrabble truly is a global game. We're talking about players from the US playing against players from England, players from Pakistan, players from Malaysia, Nigeria. There are so many strong Scrabble playing countries that are just all over the world, literally. Given that Scrabble truly is a global game, it would be great to continue online events even after COVID comes and goes, as just one part of an even bigger Scrabble scene that we really will love to play in person again. But the online component could be really nice going forward as well. Question on Facebook: is the playoff just the top 2 or more players? Basically, the playoff will vary in its format depending on how many players are tied for the highest number of wins. As many as 4 players will compete in the playoff if there are 4 players with the same number of wins. But if there are 3 or 2, there will be slightly different formats depending on the number of people that are tied at the top. So we'll have to see how the standings break down. It's going to be very, very interesting. So I see that round 3 has been posted here. Let me see. If we just cut back to the round index, you can see, yes, pairings for round 3 are up. So let me just cut to that screen, and we'll see what we have to work with here. There also is a scoreboard, actually. Why don't we have a look at that as well? The enhanced scoreboard that you see here shows you the players that are in the top group. So here are the top 12 players right now. It looks like only 1 round's worth of results have been entered, so it's very premature. You're just looking at basically players that had really big wins in round 1 here. So basically the standings, not something we should pay a ton of attention to this early. A few rounds from now, it'll be a much better indicator of how things are working out at the top. So if we just cut back to the standings, or rather to the pairings, I can see that 2 very experienced players, Craig and Wale Fashina, who is a strong player from, I believe, Nigeria. That could be a good game to watch. Ben Schoenbrunn versus Philip Aston. Do you see any other games on the pairings that look intriguing to you, Sumbul? Definitely, we can have requests from people looking at this link.
Vale versus Craig now. That's a request on Twitch.
Sorry, it was who versus?
Vale versus Craig. So.
Oh. Well, I'm not sure that that's the I don't think that's the matchup. I'm seeing it as Craig versus Wale Fashina.
Yes. Yeah.
But that is definitely a really good matchup. Okay, the players are off and running. They're not waiting for us. So let's just see if that game is underway. Okay, it's not started yet. So that gives us a great opportunity to watch a really high quality game from the start. So as soon as Craig and Wale get going, Craig Evil Budgie, Wale Fashina Jamo Wonder. So just for the record, if anybody is curious about the colors on the interface, you can see that the player going first is in blue. The blue tiles on the board correspond to the player in blue on the upper left, and the player in red, obviously, the words on the board that are in red correspond to that player. So you can always use the color coding of the interface to determine which player is which. I think I need a little bit of light in this room. It's gotten darker, cloudy outside. Hold on. There we go. That's better. Can't watch Scrabble in the dark. Okay, they've started their game. Let's pop in to see that. Very good. Okay, so it's Craig going first against Wale Fashina. This is round 3 of the Mind Sports Olympiad Speed Scrabble event, and it looks like, boy, I don't think there's a bingo here. Sumbul, this is one of those annoying racks, right? That's got all 1-point tiles but no bingo.
No, I don't think I'm going to take the risk in this because I feel like a bit shaky. Usually if it's my first move, I do go, and even if I feel like a 90% sure, 80% sure, I go with it. But in this case, I don't feel that sure, so it's a no from me.
Yeah, so basically Craig has exchanged tiles, which that is definitely, for those watching that are wondering, well, why didn't he just play a word there? As we're going to see a huge bingo for Wale come down. Oh, that's tough. So, okay, let's try to unpack this. Craig exchanged tiles because his word knowledge is so good that he knows any tile that he picks that gives him a bingo, he's going to see it. So with all of those 1-point letters that he had, he decided rather than use 2 or 3 or 4 of my letters, I'm going to exchange a very small number of them, probably just the L, because he had 2 L's on his rack. And he drew the Q after his 1-tile exchange, which is very unlucky. The Q, obviously one of the most difficult tiles to bingo with. So that's a really frustrating start for Craig. I think exchanging to open was a really reasonable play there. And he just got burned by drawing the Q to a rack that obviously did not have a U in it. So we see cheese go down for Craig. And Wale responds very quickly with facts for 37. So he's already up 100 points. But just the way we saw Craig jump out to a really quick early lead against Conrad in the first game, and Conrad came back and made a game of it, you better believe that Craig is more than capable of coming back from this deficit as well.
Yeah. Like Natalie said earlier on, Craig is a very strong player and a very quick player. So it shouldn't be a problem for him. Once he's doesn't pick up the Q, he's not going to pick up the Q now.
For sure. Yeah. So basically, Craig, the issue though sometimes is when you are out to an early deficit, sometimes those positions require a lot of extra thought. And you can see, if we cut back to our coverage screen, you can see that Craig's time is already under the 3-minute mark, whereas Wale is still in his 4th minute of time. So that's a pretty big time advantage. But we are going to see Craig respond with a bingo here of Tangelo. So that's a really, really nice play. That cuts the deficit quite a bit. But Wale has a bingo of his own that I fully expect him to find. At the very least, he's going to play unhorse under the O of Tangelo right in that spot using... Oh, maybe he missed. Okay, so actually, either he missed that bingo or he decided that I'm going to block this scary T of Tangelo, which would have hit really hard if Craig had a big play there. So obviously, in a speed event like this, you're going to see more misses. You're going to see some plays that are a little less precise. But that might have been an active choice by Wale to block that triple lane. It's tough to say. Do you think you would have played the bingo of unhorse over hours there, Sumbul?
I think I just love playing bingos. I would just play and feel happy about it.
I tend to agree. Yeah, I tend to agree. So that's tricky, but still a very solid position for Wale even after unhorse. potentially being missed, or just simply hours being chosen over it. But Craig is now, he was down by 100 and now he's only down by 50, so he's chipping away, as we expected he would. So here in this position, he's still taking a lot of time to think. He has to worry that he's using up a little bit too much. You can see now, right now, he's just ticked into 2 full minutes less than Wale. And so it looks like he's played Ma and Intima. That looks like a nice scoring play where the only issue with it is it left a W, which is not... Sumbul, what are your thoughts on the W as a bingo tile?
No, I think no way. Like I said, W and U already made me cry once, so no W's on my rack. No U's.
Yeah, so that's the only issue with it. But Craig basically opting to take a solid score and not worry that much about the W. Part of his reasoning for that might be, if you just look at the board shape, it's not very good for playing bingos anywhere. So holding the W, which normally really hurts your ability to play all 7 of your letters, well, there's no space on this board to play all 7 of your letters anyway. So keeping the W isn't quite as detrimental as usual. Okay, we see Woon be played, and I have a suspicion that Wale is going to spot Resilin and Swoon potentially as a bingo on top of Woon. So for anybody watching that's saying, man, some of these words are crazy, how do they know all these words? Well, that's just because of very, very... yeah, go ahead. How do they know so many words, Sumbul?
It's... I think it's time and effort and the energy they put into this. Learning these words is not easy, but it comes with time. I think I personally use cardbox, but a lot of people do different things to memorize words. And everyone has different ways of methods of memorizing words. So yeah, if that potentially answers your question.
It absolutely does. It really is a question of, we acknowledge that a lot of the words that we see in competitive Scrabble are off the beaten path. Often, in the case of the International Dictionary, they may be archaic words that haven't been seen in a long time. But basically, Scrabble players at this level are very, very familiar with the dictionary and have taken a lot of time and energy to learn as many of those words as they can. As we see, Craig plays healed for 36, opening a triple, while I plays we very quickly on top, just closing that triple lane back down. But this R is still very, very open. So if Craig is able to open a new spot on the board, he still has some chances of hitting a word potentially ending in IER.
I think I'm just worried about Craig's time. It's like under 10 seconds now.
Yeah, and he has spent a ton of time. He is in the danger zone here. And he plays Valuer. He sort of... I think he would have loved to leave that R open, but he decided that he needs the points of that triple word score as well. So this is going to be a tough one for Craig to pull out. Beautiful overlapping play there by Wale of Pioy for 45 points. That's a really, really nice play. So Craig is going to be in trouble as his time deficit reaches critical levels, and the score of the game is now over 100 points in favor of Wale, Jammo Wonder. So
is that a rack where you would see a bonus, but it's not actually a bonus? It's just a invalid word. You think it's good?
Yeah. So I don't think he had anything available there to play as a bingo. So he's still and his rack has gone from close to a bingo to even further away as Craig plays nerd for 32, but he picks up a B and a V, or he had the V already. But he picks up a B and a C and an M to go with it, which not what he's hoping to see. So this game looks like it's going to be headed in Wale Fashina's favor over Craig Beavers' Evil Budgie. We saw Craig defeat Conrad, Bassett, Bouchard in round 1, but he is going to drop this game, and that's going to tighten things up in the standings, which obviously it's a little bit too early to think too hard about the standings. We're only in round 3 of an event that's going to be 10 rounds in duration. So still early days in this
Very
tournament. But yeah, we'll be checking in with the standings, and certainly by round 5, which is our first break time, we'll have a little bit better of an idea of who has done well in the early going. If anybody has won all 5 of their games, that's going to put them in a strong position at the halfway point. Nice play there by Wale. So you can see Craig played Rive, sort of opening 2 potential lanes to play on top of and below the E, and Wale blocked them both by playing Buddy in that spot. So that was a really good block. So this game, basically Craig is going to do his best to avoid going to the 0-0 time. So you see he only has 1 second left. And I think he may have avoided, I don't think it's any extra penalty for using up your entire time block, but I think Craig has avoided losing on time, but he's just going to lose on score instead. So tough loss for Craig, but again, still very early. Nice win for Wale, who opened with Zealots to start this game. 100-point bingo with a Z and a blank to start this game off. So that's a really nice play. Let's see. I'm looking at my list of players to watch, and it looks like most of those games in round 3 have already completed. So
and the
things
standings
proceeding
up for round
very
2.
quickly. Sorry, Sumbul, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying the standings up for round 2 as well.
Great.
So good
Let's
to
go
see
have a
some
look
high
at
spreads.
that. Craig's time. I see Natalie commenting on Facebook. Yes, of course, that you could see basically, as I said, when you go down early in a game, you have that temptation to spend a lot of time on your moves trying to come up with something really creative to get back into the game. So for me, personally, the games where I run into time trouble the most are games where my opponent bingos once or twice in the early going, which is exactly what happened to Craig here. Okay, let's see if we can get some... If the pairings for round 4 might be up. It looks like not quite yet, but we can look at the enhanced scoreboard. I'm still only seeing the 1... So we'll just go to the full standings. Hold on. There we go. So you can see standings are still a lot of the games from round 2 are yet to be entered into the system, but you can see 8 players so far, 8 players and counting on the standings have won their first 2 games. Some players I recognize and some that I do not. I definitely recognize Odette Rio, a very strong player from the Philippines. Have you ever met Odette Sumbul? I've never actually met her.
I think I have at the King's Cup last year. I'm not sure, but yes, I think I have.
She is a really strong player, and I actually got to play and meet her in another online event recently. So very friendly and excellent player. We've already seen Wasim. We've talked a lot about Wasim and the Pakistan Scrabble scene, which is so strong and on the rise. And I see a couple other players that I recognize. I think Jack Moran or La Judge. Those are 2 players from the UK. Yes, Rick Kennedy from Ireland. And we're going to see other players rising up in the ranks. You see on the last game pending, that area, that just means, that just means that the result of round 2 is yet to be entered into the standing. So, for example, we just saw Wale Fashina win his game, so we know that he's going to be 2-0 at least. Oh, wait, no, we saw him win his round 3 game. So,
so I think
we'll see. Yeah, so a slight, it's going to usually lag behind a round or 2 in the standings as the organizers enter in all of the different results that have taken place. But
I think they're entering as we speak.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think they're entering results as we speak, so it's just gonna take a few more minutes.
Yeah, for sure. but obviously once the games get going, you can see already that the pace of each game is just crazy fast. Hopefully you guys are able to follow along, and that we're doing our best to sort of make sense and translate what the players are thinking. Obviously, they're thinking at an incredibly high level and an incredibly quick pace, so it's not easy for us to keep on top of that. It looks like the pairings for round 4 are up, according to, yes, and here they are. So let's pop over to that screen again. So you can see this does say standings, but we're also going to use it to show the pairings. So if we pop over to this, I bet we're going to start to see, we've seen Craig Beavers a couple of times. He's playing a very strong opponent in Brian Bowman, but let's see if we can bring a different game, maybe some players we haven't seen. How about Cesar del Solar versus Anand Budev? That's two players I recognize, very strong tournament players. So maybe we'll try to bring that game to you guys. With Cesar, hopefully. Let me just get him on the list. He has not started his game yet, so we can check into that game as soon as it starts. I think that will be a good one to watch, and that's going to be round 4. So we're flying right along here. It'll be, okay, they've started their game. So let's have a look. And this game is between Anand B. You can see his name is an anagram of that on the top. AABDNN. That is an anagram of Anand B, his name and first initial. And Cesar del Solar, Ozma Rules, which I know that Cesar is a huge fan of the band Ozma, so that must be a homage to that. Okay, so quickly, Anand plays his J with Ja Rule for a great score, and Cesar with a Q and no U. He plays right through that U, as is absolutely correct to do. And Anand responding with Jacent for 30. That's a great play. I think that's just an archaic word meaning adjacent or next to. And down comes Anil. That's a more regular word for Cesar. He had 3 N's there, so using 2 of them is a great idea.
Good way to balance your rack.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, Sumbul, when you have duplicate tiles on your rack in Scrabble, what are some of the reasons that we try to use up those tiles? When it's considered a bad thing when we have 2 of a certain tile. Why would we explain why that is?
I think it's more to do with the probability as well. So there are not many words with like I'm not sure if I'm correct, but double L, double N, or we can go with double M's. So you try to balance it out, and you usually aim for something like having retain on your rack. So I think focusing on retain, you want to balance your rack as much as you can with vowels and consonants. So that's usually my thinking behind it, because my skill level is not as good as other people. So I usually try to aim towards that way. What about you?
Well, you're not giving yourself enough credit because your skill level is very high. I know you're saying that, but you are a very strong player in your own right, and I agree with everything you've said. It's definitely when you have 2 of a certain tile.
Yes,
it's just it's just a fact. It's an odd fact about the way words are formed that most words of 7 and 8 letters are composed of 7 different letters and 8 different letters. It's just the way words work. Not only that, every tile kind of has its own attributes, its own set of attributes. What words can a tile hook onto? As we're definitely going to see Cesar play a bingo here. He's got great letters, E-I-N-O-R-S-T. Just like I'm saying, that's 7 1-point letters that are all different. That means his odds of having a bingo there were very high, and he plays Norites for 72. Good play. Cesar is now up by 2 in this game. So very nice even game. But just to finish my point, every letter has different attributes, and when you have 2 or 3 of the same letter, that's limiting your options as far as what can your letters do on the board, right? So if you have 7 different letters, there could be all different options that those letters give you. But if you have 3 N's, it doesn't really help you because one N is just as good as another. Okay, so great scoring play there by Anand of Zek for 56. That looks great to me. Cesar, though, has drawn the first blank, so we're going to see there's some bingos that he might have available. It's not the end of the world if he misses one here, but I can see diagonal and wood if he knows it. So knowing Cesar, a player that has played most of his career using the North American word list, that word is a international word list word only, so it's possible that he hasn't seen that word or learned it. So he has bingos available here. It's possible he has something through the P of quep as well. I'm not seeing it right away, but he's taking his time. He still has over 3 minutes. He's just getting into the 3-minute mark, so it's okay. Yeah. So yes, Sumbul, when you draw a blank in a game of Scrabble, the way Cesar has, what does that do to your time? When you have a certain amount of time left, what's your experience with when you draw the blank?
I think if I draw the blank, firstly, of course, it depends on my rack. If I see like I'm not likely to bingo, then I go with just playing my normal game. But once I get those bingo-y tiles, that's when it starts to get very tricky. Do I think about it or do I just quickly play? Because time can be an issue for me as well sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's definitely, when I draw the blank, obviously when you have a blank tile, the whole point of the blank is that it can be any letter in the entire alphabet. So often when you have really good letters combined with the blank, you get that impulse to want to look at every letter of the alphabet. What if my blank's an A? What if my blank's a B, C, D, all the way down? And that takes a lot of time. That's a real drain on your time when that happens. So you can see Cesar had 3 minutes and 30 seconds when he drew the blank, but now he's down to 2 minutes and 18 seconds, as you see Ozma rules there, and he's drawn UUY to pair with his blank, which we were talking about WU before, VU, but UU is just as bad as those. Really rare to see words that contain 2 U's in them. So that's a tough break for Cesar, and Anand has drawn the second blank, and he has much better letters than Cesar does to pair with it, and we're for sure I would be shocked to not see a bingo go down here somewhere, I would think.
I can see a bingo, so I'm sure he can see one as well.
Sure, yeah, I'm pretty sure that between the, something in this spot, a 7-letter word like, I don't know, Nerlier or something like that is findable here. But even if not, Anand is still in very strong position. And again, we're playing speed Scrabble. So if you don't see a bingo within just a couple of seconds, it's probably better to just play your word as fast as possible. So he plays Knurl instead. Oh, huge swing there. Okay, so Anand had bingos available there. He did not spot them, and he played Knurl and Koan, the N hooking to Koa. Nice play. But Cesar bombed his X, a power tile, for 54 points in a really lucrative spot. And now Cesar is very likely, well, let's see, can he get a bingo down here? With a hook to dive. Oh man, it's tricky. So Cesar has some bingos on his rack, like caplets, but it's not clear to me that there's a good spot to play it. Do you see anything good here, Sumbul?
No, I was just thinking of plastic, but I don't think it plays anywhere.
Plastic would totally play. Plastic and dives. Great spot there. Really nice find there. It definitely plays. Ooh, and he's missed it. Okay, so you spotted a great bingo. If he had used his blank as an I, he could have played plastic and dives. So both players are struggling with time. They're right down into the minute left, and they're still, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see there are 24 tiles, now 21 tiles left. So there's still a lot of the game left to play, and both players are already pretty low on their clock. So we'll see how that manifests itself as this game continues. Still a lot of time left. So yeah, both players with the blank for a while now. They've each had a blank for a long time, and they've each not been able to use it. So we'll see which of the two of them can get their bingo down first. and whether
Very
they can
interesting to
play a bingo in a way that does not yield a big counterplay to opponents.
Ooh.
So Fume is played, and Anand has an H and a V. Really nice scoring play there. Okay, the plays are coming very